everyone.
Hi,
My name is M9.
and I'm Nixie, and this
And this is Out of Character. Welcome back to the show, everyone. It's episode 13 of Out of Order. I'm Out of Character, Out of Order. Wow. The podcast where we dive deep into the world of role-playing.
We'll speak to players, server owners, modders, and have discussions about topics that are important to our community.
Yeah, I think I'm the one that's out of order. But today we have Skeeter McAllen with us, and we're going to be chatting with him about like his experiences in the FiveM RP community and something that's kind of near and dear to him. Hi, Skeeter.
Hey, how's it going?
Welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm doing good. Appreciate you having me.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a pleasure. I know that you have something special to talk about, and we'll get to that. But how about just to start off, you just kind of tell us a little bit about yourself. What got you into role playing, and where can people most likely find you?
Oh man, that's a long story from a long time ago.
We have about an hour, so.
So originally, I want to say this was, God, 10 years ago, maybe plus. I came from the original Arma 2 mods of Life. I don't know if you guys ever are familiar with that, but Island Life and Arma 2 and 3 Life was basically where the FiveM, idea kind of morphed from. So I started playing that many moons ago, and my alias back then was Bubba Hinkler, actually. And it just kind of evolved where me and my good buddy John Boy, his name was John Boy Hinkler back then. We were the Hinkler Boys. Kind of wanted to bring some redneck hillbilly to, kind of RP situation. Because back then it was like really, everyone took it way too serious. There wasn't a lot of fun involved. It was like everyone was trying to make a AAA movie with their RP and what they were doing.
Yeah.
So it kind of started that way, and it kind of blew up for us. I started streaming back then. I think I was streaming under Sons of Asgard back then, as just kind of like a part-time fun thing, as a hobby, and then kind of took off. And then we switched, of course, to FiveM. Because that's a much better platform to RP in than the old Life mods, where all the buildings were just empty shells. And that's when kind of the Skeeter character got born. I kind of fell in love with the YJ, or the Yellow Jack, is a bar in FiveM or GTA 5, and kind of took over the Yellow Jack, and it kind of became my thing, with bar RP. And that's basically where I stayed for a long time.
Nice.
Still am today.
So how long have you been RPing, and are you solely RPing in FiveM?
In the old days, yes, it was only FiveM RP. And I was in a pretty large city at the time, and there were some creative differences in that city. So me and about 6 or 7 of us left, and we were sitting drinking beer one night, and we were like, let's find something new to RP in, so
I like the term creative differences. It's a very nice way to say things.
It always is, right? Such a political way of...
Well, I don't want to cause, that's a long time ago. You're allowed to be annoyed with each other.
Right,
it's kind of like family. And so we were all sitting there one night, and we were all like, let's try Ark. And so we loaded up Ark, and we randomly are scrolling through the Ark servers, and like we weren't even looking through Discord at that time. We were just on the Ark multiplayer scene, and we see this server called Got RP. And at the time, we all were like, let's join that one. It's because we thought it was like Got Milk, like that old ad
Oh
campaign.
my god.
Gosh.
It was
Yeah.
GOT.
Yeah, and it was Game of Thrones RP, Newt's old server.
Yep.
Is that the? Oh, that was one of the really early Game of Thrones. It wasn't the earliest, was it? No,
I
because
think
that was
it was.
SKRP. But was it the first one that spawned off of SKRP?
I
I
think
gotta be honest, I don't know.
I think God was when Newt first put up her map, right?
Yes.
Yep.
I do know that.
I was on that one. I just can't remember how soon after SKRP it was. This is a long ass time.
I think it was.
ago.
I think it was a bit after. I think it was. Yeah, because it was after she started working on the map, which was after WRP.
Yeah, see,
Yes.
that was before me, so I'm not familiar with
Yeah.
much of that. And so we so we joined the Discord, and poor Newt, granted we're about 3 hours of drinking into this evening,
Oh no.
and we put our apps in, and of course my app is Skeeter McAllen, hillbilly, and my backstory is all about moonshining and hillbilly.
Oh man.
So Newt herself reaches out to me and she's like, look, can I do a voice interview with you guys? Because I don't know what this is. And so, of course, we're like, heck yeah, let's do it. So we hop in and, of course, we're hamming up the Southern accents. And she's just dying laughing, like absolutely crying laughing. And we're like, and that's when she lets us know it's a Game of Thrones server. And I had never seen the show Game of Thrones ever
Oh,
in my
that's
entire life.
great.
I think out of all of us, only one of us had. So she was just like, you know what? I'm going to let this happen because there's a lot of people in here that take themselves too seriously, and it's about time we have some fun.
Yeah.
So she lets us in the city, or the land, I guess would be the proper term there.
For that.
And we all immediately run and find this patch of ground and build two giant redwood trees in it and build like this floating tree bar called the honey pot. and we didn't ask any, like, we didn't know there was kings and land and all that.
Yeah.
We didn't ask anyone, and it just so happened to be the storm wind, I think they're called, or the deer. It happened to be the Baratheons' land.
Dear, yes.
And Try Hard Mafia was the king at the time.
Oh, it would be Try Hard. Yeah. Cool
and
guy.
of course, about 2 days go by before our presence is known. And he comes in and absolutely just comes up to the bar, and we have probably 30 people up there naked sheep jousting. And, and he's trying to be like real, like in character, but he's just breaking. He can't keep it. And eventually that night he comes to me after and he's like, man, this was the funnest thing I've ever seen in my life. He's like, I was going to come here and be very angry about you just taking my land, but you know what? It's yours. Have it.
That's awesome.
And then he makes me a duke of the land. So the whole Duke Skeeter and Dookie Sheets, as my nickname was, came into play. And then we started to learn, of course, the lore of Game of Thrones through just trial and error.
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned that because a lot of people are so intimidated sometimes by joining a Game of Thrones server or anything that you might not have a lot of experience with. But as long as your character just like learns as you go along, it's never usually a problem. And like what you said, with some time you kind of learned a bit of the lore and stuff like that, and it's actually kind of interesting to do things that way.
It's definitely different, like, because we were polarizing. I can tell you that not everyone liked our presence there.
I can
Because
imagine.
the true diehard fans were like, "There's no country people." Running around doing bar stuff in Game of Thrones. So there was some pushback, but eventually we kind of warmed over with everyone because we made that place kind of like a Friday night hangout where like we kind of left all the serious RP to them, and we were like, hey, here, like, I don't care if you're a king or a servant or whatever. Everyone's on equal ground here, and this is neutral ground, so there's no fighting here. So your stories kind of stay out there. This is just a place where you can take a break.
Mm-hmm.
And then it just turned into a lot of fun.
That's great.
Until we started getting into, doing underground trades with the wildlings, and
Of course.
yeah, it got bad.
You're
We
neutral
started
until you're no longer neutral.
yeah, so we started a black market trade run underneath the ice wall because we happened to find a cave hole in the wall that you could sneak through.
Oh man.
And we were supplying all the weapons and
You know, it's funny, we have something in common in that I played with Newt and she was the Queen of the North at that point, and there was a point that I wanted somebody dead, so I was letting wildlings come through the wall to like do my bidding. And and Newt wanted to have me sent up to the wall to take the black, and I ran away to be like a wildling. But it's funny when you start playing with the idea of kind of being somewhat like dirty. It's fun. It's fun.
oh, just being diabolical is one of the best things. I mean, having convincing someone to pour gas on themselves and then handing them the lighter to light it is the best way to play, I say.
So, 5M Ark. Any other kind of RP experience?
Um, I dabbled in DayZ,
Okay.
but the standalone just I couldn't get into it. It's just too much work, like having to reload each magazine and all that. I'm like, I don't care about any of this. And it was hard to find serious servers.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I
but
feel like there's a lot of um, toxic behavior in the Daisy.
yeah, it's so the old mod days were the best, and then when it went standalone, it kind of went downhill for me, I think.
Yeah.
Um, Other RP, really, me and my friends have kind of started a whole, RP in inappropriate places is kind of our saying. We'll pretty much
Like?
RP in anything.
No,
Well,
I'm curious about
Yeah,
like
we need
in other
examples here.
games. Yeah, what are examples of that?
so basically, we find it fun to go to any game where no one's RPing and just start RPing and just completely take over.
Okay, I can understand that. I've done like role playing and like phasmophobia.
Exactly.
And that type of thing where it's like it's not a role playing game by any means, but we just pick characters and we start
I
uh,
used to do that in VR chat.
VR
People used
chat.
to think I had an accent because I would roleplay with a couple of friends and go around talking to people like I was this other person.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
It made fun. It was fun.
I think of it um like I don't know if you know the YouTuber Stone Mountain 64 when he used to go into Battlefield and like try hard like doing comms like he was a military sergeant and
No, but I
I
know
think I've
that.
seen stuff
Yeah,
like that.
I know
Yeah.
exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
exactly, so all these random people are just like, what is happening here?
Yeah, no, I mean it's kind of fun to do crazy things like that when you like, especially in a game that is not supposed to be that kind of thing. Like we played the Guardians of the Galaxy in Phasmophobia once for no reason. We just picked different characters from the Guardians of the Galaxy, and we all had to pretend we were looking for ghosts. Um, I even had a dance contest with a ghost, and I lost because it killed me.
Yeah, I can't imagine that going super well. You have to
Go-
stand there and glare at the ghost, and the ghost goes, "Ooh, lunch."
yeah. It was like, like the like haunting animation in Phasmo starts, and I'm like, oh, dance battle, let's go. Dead.
So yeah, I the RP that we've done is typically, goofy, and like I said, it can be polarizing. Some people hate it,
Hmm.
and especially my YJRP, it's very abrasive. I run into a lot of places where it just doesn't work in that city because they're a bit bit more sensitive than others, you know,
Yeah.
because especially running a bar, we run the bar basically. You come in and I roast you for the. It's like a roast. Um, I
I g-
absolutely make fun of you for the whole time you're there, and
yeah, I guess you gotta know, like, you gotta read the room, right? Read the server.
absolutely. And there's cities I'll join, and usually at this point, I've been doing it for so long with the same character. It's hard pressed for me to join a Discord in a new city and there's not 19 people going, "Oh no, the Yellow Jack."
See, that is
So,
something we've talked a little bit about the difference in GTA 5 servers. Is it
Right.
seems like the community hops around a lot more than say other games do.
so 5M has devolved a bit. The glory days were a few years ago. Um, I think the added, and this happens in even Ark, and we've seen it, and you can probably attest to this yourselves. There's a timeline of every server, and usually it is something happens that makes a core group of the city mad or the land mad,
Hmm.
and then they go, well, I can make a city better that's not going to be biased to this way or that way, and we can get our way. So they go make a new city and take like a third of the city or with them.
That's just roleplay. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
literally every game
Hmm.
I've ever roleplayed in.
basically I'm going to take my toys and go home.
Yeah.
So you have that, and I'd say I've kind of slowly, stopped RPing in 5M strictly because it's kind of devolved from the old days where you had complex storylines, you had story arcs, and now it's turned into just cops and robbers, and criminals being angry because the cops are too OP or cops are too mad because the criminals are too OP. And then the big, elephant in the room is it's basically turned into a relationship simulator
Yeah.
where people just date and it's get married and they just sit in a room, like it's like a dating game now. So there's very little interaction anymore.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Has that been like kind of a recent thing? You said it's been a couple of years, but
I'd say it's been I'd say it's been a few years that started kind of really becoming a forefront where you'll have like, I'm not going to name server names just because, I don't want to
Hmm.
cause static, but there's been a recent city that I was on that's like popping. Like I'm talking over 100 people in the city at night, and I've driven around for the last 30 minutes and not seen a single person. Because they're all just sitting in their own houses
Yeah.
and
Very clicky.
that happens
exactly.
a lot on like specifically the Conan servers I've been on recently,
Yeah.
where you know there's more than 60 people online. You're looking around, you're like, where the fuck is the entire server? Like,
Yeah. And that's why in almost every RP situation, I try to make a social hub where,
Hmm.
at the very least, if you're driving around and you can't find the RP, you can go to my spot and there's going to be someone, and then you're going to eventually get into something, you know? Because it's hard fighting that clicky, you know, way of thinking that a lot of people get into, especially in 5M, because it just, the OOC drama in 5M
Yeah. It
is
really is.
top tier.
It's
I mean,
bad. Hmm.
I've noticed also the problem with 5M is specifically you have cars that go very quickly and you can fit a small group of people in them to talk to each other as you're driving around the city at high speeds. You don't have the ability to run into anyone when you're doing that, which
and
is
if that does happen, um, I'd say most of the time, people in the cars, yeah, they'll be driving around, but typically, in the old days, it used to be everyone hung out at Legion Square, and you couldn't get any RP going because all anyone did was sit in parking spaces at Legion Square and shit lord, as we like to call it. Um, then that kind of slowly faded, and it turned into where there was good RP. Like I said, there was a few years where 5M had some great stories. I mean, people actually cared about the way the story went and working it out versus just how much money they have and what cars they have.
Right.
I think that's probably about the time I played then because I mostly played on the when I was active on it was when it was like people had stories and there's stuff happening.
I mean,
Yeah.
the only, there's a few out there that are very huge. I didn't get along well with them, but the big main one, Pixel being one of them. I don't mind naming that one because everyone knows that one.
That
Right.
one's the one that gets into news stories on like website.
Exactly. So I was on Pixel for a while, and this was before they started the whole you had to pay to even apply, and it's that kind of. There was some amazing story like RP'ers in there, but the average Joe is not going to get in that server unless you have, unless you're a partner in Twitch and you have a huge following.
I was
Right.
whitelisted, but actually getting past the queue was near impossible.
Oh, yeah, there was nights where I used to sit in queue for 6 hours.
Oh, I did an
Wow.
8-hour stint one. I got in 10 minutes before the server restart.
Oh no.
And then they restarted the server and I didn't get back in.
I couldn't do something like that. I can't.
That's
Well-
you just leave it up on your computer and walk away, like when you go to
Yeah.
work or whatever.
Well, when I was doing it back in the day, this was before they expanded it was like 32 players at max back then.
Mm-hmm.
What is it now?
And it's I think there's cities with over 200 now.
Yeah.
It's just how much box you can handle at this point.
I feel like it was relatively recent that they still only allowed 32.
I would say that's been about within the last 4 years. I think that happened. Maybe a little longer. I know in the beginning there was a lot of desync with the above 32 servers.
Yeah,
so
above 32.
stably, I'd say about 3 or 4 years
Yeah.
where you could run it.
That's
It's
cool.
it's been the problem that I always had with let's say GTA 5M servers is that for me they were so fast paced when somebody joined, probably in a day or two, if you were off in a day or two, somebody already had like $6 million cars, and it's like, what did you do to make all this money in a day or two? And it was all about like the grind and who was the most rich and who who controlled more area. And sometimes
That's car.
it just felt too fast paced for me, which it that resulted in turning into short seasons because people things just ended quickly. The interest
Once
just
you
dropped.
have everything in the city, what's the point? You know? And unfortunately, that way of thinking is what's killing 5M RP.
Yeah.
When I go in, I have never done in the history of me being a 5M RP'er, I have never legitimately done one of the jobs that get you paid. Ever. I'm not going to sit there and hack rocks and throw them in a trunk to go process them. That's just not me. I let them do that, and then they come to my bar and give me money.
I agree. I've been different in the way that anything that I've ever done when it comes to 5M has been RP oriented. Like I did a reporter. I did the last time that I played in 5M, I was a talk show host, and so everything that I had was just me role playing and having guests and doing events and things like that. I never worked any kind of job that I had to grind or there's people that like realistically I'm like, how would you even be doing all of these jobs? You're like a trash person. You're driving trucks. You're going up and picking grapes for wine. And I'm like, what?
The taxi drivers.
The taxi driver. It's
See,
so
I
much.
remember the big character I played. I would do the mechanic jobs sometimes, but the other character I did, I literally ran around without shoes. And I only got money if people gave it to me so that I could get sandwiches to not die constantly.
Oh man.
And then I would just sit in the hospital and hang out and see what was going on because I was playing a little homeless girl who was very confused. And I got stopped often by police officers asking if I was okay. I didn't do any money grinding on that character at all. I
Yeah.
probably only had like $300.
Yeah, I've like cars. I've maybe owned 3 or 4 cars ever. Like usually,
Yeah.
my whole shtick was I would steal golf carts from Sandy Shores, and I'd only drive golf carts, and I'd be holding like a glass of whiskey, like a nice drink with me, and I'd just be driving into the city. And I think
Well,
my record was 17 DUIs and 1 FUI in one city.
Jesus.
And the flying under the influence was amazing because I landed a helicopter that I stole in Legion Square to pick a friend up, and I got busted for that one.
I think a lot of people underestimate the opportunities to have role playing careers. And like, I was one of the wealthiest people on the server, and I didn't work. I mean, I
Hmm.
worked, right? Like, I was a talk show host, but I was making millions of dollars depending on, like, I rolled for ratings and things like that. The way that the admin set up the thing for me was pretty awesome. But so depending on my ratings, my role is how much I got paid, and
Ah,
I was making millions and millions of dollars per episode. And so the more shows that I did or interviews or whatever, the more money I made. But I was I literally had like 8 employees under me that I was just giving money to. I was one of the best paying employers,
well, I'm
and
sure making millions an episode.
yeah, and my personal assistant, she was making like probably 3 million out of every episode because I gave her like 20% or whatever, and it was freaking great. But like, I also earned money like that when I was a reporter too, and I just think people are afraid to think outside the box, right? Like, what can I do that's different? You don't have to be a criminal. You don't have to uh junk cards or drive trucks. Think outside the box, do something a little different. I've also been a musician, and I used to get paid a lot of money for performances, or like every time that I dropped a song. Like, so it's yeah.
Oh, I feel you with that. The lack of creativity
Mhm.
in 5M, I think, is its downfall as well. Like we used to,
Mhm.
I used to be in Sandy Shores and we dress up in American flag Uncle Sam outfits, and we would literally steal every vehicle we could find driving past us and park it in the boat, like the boathouse parking lot,
Yeah.
and we make a used car dealership. And then
That's awesome.
we would, people would show up to buy a car. Then we would steal their car as we were taking test drives, put it in the lot as we were selling it, and try to sell them their own car back.
Oh my goodness.
So, things like that. It's like you
Mhm.
don't need to just rob a bank. Like I used to
Exactly.
throw the white trash bash at the yellow jack, and I would just be like $100 at the door,
Yeah.
and whoever has the best white trash costume wins a cash prize. But people forget that I was getting tipped like 10 grand a drink,
Oh my God.
throughout the night. So I'd come out with like 2-3 mil in an event, and
Yeah.
then pay
I th-
out like 10 grand.
I think it also depends on admins that run a server and how much they're willing to support somebody. That I've always been lucky enough that if I'm like, hey, I want to be a musician and I want to be famous or whatever, um, they'll be like, all right, because like celebrities are a thing, and
Yeah.
um, and so they'll help me out and we can work something out. But you have some of these like servers or bigger servers that aren't willing to kind of bend at all, and
Or
that makes
provides
it
you with the tools you need to make an event happen, like
exactly, yeah.
spawning you like the DJ truck with the skulls and all that. Like
Hmm.
simple things they can do to add to it for sure. Um, and another big thing for me is I notice in a lot of failed cities is when an owner is in charge of the police. That is
Oh,
by far one of the biggest no-nos I have
Hmm.
seen ever.
yeah. Putting
Every
your
city,
owner in charge of anything, really. EMS, a
yeah,
crime, the biggest crime group, police. It's usually just spells disaster.
ex- uh, the big thing for me though is the chief of police, because there's always a power struggle. Like ranks don't mean anything because you're just gonna pull rank. I own the city, so this is what it's gonna be.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, 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 yeah.
so that happens from time to time, but it can Yeah, I'm talking like it's doomed and it's bad. There is good cities out there now.
Yeah, I mean, it's still possible to find stuff out there.
There's great cities out here now.
I just
We've had
I get burnt out from FiveM so quickly.
Mhm.
we all do, and that's why I kind of branch out and try to find other games to
Mm-hmm.
hop in an
I was
RP with.
actually in a GTA kick when M9 went, hey, you want to play Conan? And now I've been playing Conan.
Well,
Because
you almost got me in that server, and I was excited to do it, and then you left.
well, you didn't talk to me after you moved.
Well, that is true.
Oh,
That is half my fault.
drama! You're
Don't worry,
hearing
stuff's
it
happening.
first.
Yeah, but no, it's just one of those things where one thing I actually stopped role playing for more than a year at one point because I walked down a road and ran into the same person twice with a different name. They were the same character, they had the same voice, they looked very similar, but they were two very different people role playing the exact same stereotype. And I went, I can't do this anymore.
Believe it or not, it's really hard to deal with that. That is a big thing, especially when like you have one person that plays 5 different characters and you can't differentiate them at all.
I've literally have called people by the wrong name just because I thought there was someone else. And I'm like, you look exactly like this other person. I don't know. It's hard to see any kind of like difference in some characters, especially when everybody's doing the same damn thing. The same crimes, the same mentality, the same gangs. It's just it's tiring.
I gotta
This
be
is
honest,
very
as far as
tiring.
RP goes with 5M, I use it as like a Friday night when I want to have a case of beer and be stupid and just laugh.
Yeah.
And this is my thing is I just join a random city and steal the yellow jacket. I don't even ask permission. I just say it's mine and open it. We call it eminent domain. And then we throw a huge party and get the whole city there. And everyone's like, oh my God, this is amazing. And then they're like, will you own it for real and all this? And I'm like, no, I'm good. I'm here for a night.
That's funny. Yeah, I usually do FiveM when like my friend Josh is like, "Hey, I'm gonna put up a GTA server," and I'm like, "All right, it's been long enough," and then that I've kind of like refreshed myself, and I'm like, hey, "Let's do it," and then I do it for a little bit, and I'm like, "Okay, I'm done."
Is Josh, are you talking about Circa?
Circa, yeah.
Yes.
Yes. I met him on Newt server.
We've
Yeah,
had him as a guest on
I'm
the
sure you
podcast.
did. Yeah.
If you watch one of our previous episodes.
Yeah,
I did. I
episode
haven't
3 or
heard from
4.
him in a long time. That was the first time I even heard of him for a long time. So I tuned in to that for sure.
Oh, nice.
Is he still doing Ark?
He's currently doing Ark and preparing for his second season of Ark homebrew, and it's all kind of like fantasy Ark, and he currently has an Atlas server while they get everything on Ark prepared for the second season.
If you aren't on the Discord, we have a whole big section of links that have different servers that you can apply to if you're interested in that sort of thing.
Yeah, so check out our Discord. All of the
Definitely.
stuff is in there.
Now Atlas, I went to that for a brief stint, but that game was so broken it was just hard to push through it to RP in.
Yeah, well, and it kind of depends on where you're role playing, right? Right now, Josh has this thing set up, and it's almost like an anti-grind server. He's like, I don't want anybody to have to waste their time doing anything. Like, this is just for us to come and hang out and have a good time, and I think that that's awesome, right? Because some of the, like when you look at like Dark Side, we played on there for a little bit, not that long ago, but for me, it felt like every time that I logged in, I had to spend some time like hours grinding or something like that, and find books to learn this and another book to learn that, and I was like, oh boy, like I'm working all day, and I'm logging into a game to role play and working for a couple more hours. This is not my idea of fun.
Yeah. Atlas, when you had to build the big boat, That's what I got out. I was like, I
Yeah.
can't do this.
Yeah.
I
This
So
is
sailed
too
around
much.
for maybe like a couple hours once, and I think that's the longest I played Atlas.
yeah, and it's
Which
a
wasn't
fun
even in a
game.
role.
The sea battles and stuff like that, they're amazing, and the RP could be really fun. Especially when you have a server like the one Josh has now, where it's like little to no grinding. I think he had like a big brig or something of the sort made within like 2 hours of starting, and when it's like that, it's a lot more fun. But when it becomes a grind fest, I can't do it, guys. Even if
Yeah.
I enjoy the game, and also the vitamin
You don't
sisters
play
system's a
games, am
nightmare.
I?
Yeah, I don't play games. Like I don't want to log into a game to play the game. I just want to role play.
He's
I'm
on
agreed.
Conan, and
Why
he's
do you
like,
think
I don't know how
I
to play Conan.
I don't know how to play
Why do you
Conan.
think I default to the bar RP in every game I play, so I don't have to do anything? I just stand at a bar. I don't even have
Yeah.
to touch the keyboard.
I've been playing Conan for years, and I have no idea how to play that game.
I came in and was like, I'm gonna learn how to play this game. He's like,
You're
I
such
can't
a
help you.
nerd. Yeah.
Yeah.
Conan's
it's
a
my title.
great game. It's just very risky to stream.
Well,
You can turn off
it's
nudity.
difficult.
You can
Oh,
turn off.
can you?
You can
Yeah,
turn
you
off
can talk about it for
nudity,
yourself.
and also Twitch doesn't really give a shit as long as you're not making a big deal about it because it's part of the game.
Really? So
Yeah.
they kind of lightened up on that a bit, huh?
Yeah.
But yeah, there's
so
also just a setting to turn it off for you, so that even if somebody else is running
You
around
don't see
naked,
them
you just see
naked,
them
yeah.
in their like
yeah.
in like their loincloth.
But yeah, you're actually allowed to stream anything that's part of the game, not like modded in or
Yeah,
and,
yeah. So
and also
core
you,
game.
like you don't want to be like, oh my god, boobs, and like focus your entire stream on boobs. Like if it's like passing or whatever, they don't give a shit. But I usually play with like nudity filter because people are
Yeah.
fucking annoying.
Oh yeah, and they'll report you for any chance they get, just to be like, hey, got you.
Yep. And then there's also just, the type of role players that want to walk around naked. And I'm like, nah, I'm just going to turn on my filter on. No, thank
Yep.
you.
I remember I used to when Rust was first big, and I used to stream Rust back in the day. I got banned for a week off Twitch because of the nudity in it.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah.
Seriously?
Wow. I
So
never
that's
played
why I just
Rust.
always blur everything or won't play it on stream if it's got nudity, just because of
Yeah,
that.
I get that. Yeah, that's why I think it's a really good thing that Conan has that built in because, oof.
Creators, they need those tools for sure, especially
Mhm.
like the streamer mode.
Yeah, I agree. I think more games need, and more games are, if we're being fair, they are building that into newer games because it's important, like to turn off, music that's gonna get you
I've
a
been
strike.
playing Disney Dreamlight Valley,
Mm-hmm.
which has a whole streamer mode that specifically turns off any characters humming songs or so that you can stream it because it doesn't have any copyrighted music.
Right. Imagine getting a copyright strike because freaking Mickey Mouse was in the background, like, oh boy.
Oh,
It's like, no, that's
That was way too
copywritten.
good.
I got to be honest. I'm rebelling against the no music on your stream thing. I just turned my VODs off.
I
Like,
play
that's
music all the time. Like I play music all the time, and I don't really care. But also, there is a handy way, and that I was just kind of shown on how to make it so that when you stream, you can have music playing to your stream, and that doesn't get recorded on the VOD. And so if you go to Google and you just, or YouTube, and just put in how to separate tracks for Twitch, it'll come up and it'll show you how to do that so that the VOD actually saves without the music.
That's actually really cool.
I
Yeah,
didn't
and-
even know that was a thing.
Yeah.
Is that new?
I think it's kind of been around for a bit but or maybe not because it's kind of built into like OBS, and it may have been like an update and stuff. And I think if you use like the Twitch one, I think they also have it built in, or Streamlabs OBS. I don't use that. I just use regular OBS. But yeah, I'm sure that there's different
I
ways
gotta
to
be
do it.
honest, I'm a Streamlabs OBS guy.
Yeah,
I
I
love
used
it.
to use Streamlabs and I really enjoyed it because the user interface is really pretty, and I'm like a visual bitch. Um, like
A
OB
visual bit.
visual bitch. OBS is like all bland, but I was having issues with Streamlabs and I switched back to to just regular OBS and my issue stopped. So,
Hmm.
but yeah. Anyway,
I
so
haven't had
yeah, check
much
it out.
issues, thank God. Thank God. But I also don't stream that often anymore.
Yeah,
I'd
actually,
say,
right now I am playing music for the stream, but I'm not hearing the music. The stream is, and the VOD will save without the music.
oh, that's cool.
I didn't
Yeah.
even know there was music playing. I
Yeah.
don't listen to it.
You know, Nixie doesn't like listening to herself.
I can't. I can't do it. That's why I let him do all the editing. I don't listen to myself. But I was thinking we're about 15 minutes to the end, so I
Yeah.
figured we might pivot to talking a little bit about the charity that you wanted to talk about, Skeeter.
Oh,
Yes,
absolutely.
please, let's do that.
So, a good family friend of mine lives next door to my mother. Started a charity called Warriors Creed Foundation, and it's basically helping veterans that have come back and their spouses deal with PTSD and the wounds that are with it. Um, this guy means a lot to me. He helps my family out. My father's got Parkinson's and my sister's got MS. And as a neighbor, he does a lot to help them. So I told him that I would definitely help. Um, try to promote this. Basically, what he does is he takes veterans out on retreats and gives them a place where they can just hang with other veterans and talk about it. And as a veteran's himself with a Purple Heart, he knows the importance of that because, as you know, the horrible statistic of 22 a day. We got to try to fight that, and do what we can to try to get these guys the help they need because God knows the VA doesn't do enough.
Yeah, for sure.
So basically, I'm doing a giveaway of some couple items of my personal collection, a Pete Rose signed baseball and a signed drumhead from Vinnie Paul of Pantera, who's now passed away. Greatest band of all time, by the way. That one's hard for me to get rid of, but it's for a good cause. Basically, a 25 minimum donation for the ball and 50 minimum donation for the drum head, and also gets you entered for the ball. So you can only win one, but basically all this money goes to paying for the veterans' expenses for these retreats that they go on. It's probably one of the coolest things I've seen. This guy's an awesome guy. His name's Trevor Hoffman. He was a Marine and in the Army for 20 years. So he did double duty.
Yeah.
Is there a time limit on how long they have to donate for?
So, believe it or not, I just put up the donation part of it. The actual charity streaming I'll be doing is going to run the week of the 20th, so the March 20th to 24th, Monday
Cool.
through Friday. The giveaway is going to happen at 9 p.m. Eastern on that Friday, the 24th. So I haven't decided on an actual cutoff, but I think 8 p.m. is fair. And I will ship these anywhere in the world at no cost, as long as UPS will go there. Of course, there's conflict zones and stuff like that. I
Yeah.
can't be held to, thank you for your donation if you're in one of those places. But it's, we've already gotten, I think we're up to almost $900 already. And the goal
Awesome.
was 2,000, which is about what it costs for all the couples on the retreat for the expenses. Because they get a lot of donations. People donate their cabins, food, amenities. So this kind of gives them activities to take them out. I believe they do one in Georgia in Black Mountain area, and they do one in Gatlinburg, Tennessee. So of course there's a lot of expensive stuff they can take them out to do in Gatlinburg.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, I'm incredibly happy about the support we've had on it. And if you guys want to get a really good deal on some good memorabilia, please, even $1 helps. So there's
Yeah,
no
that's
minimum
really cool.
donation, and you would I'd be very grateful, whatever you could spare.
Yeah, please. So, guys, help out with whatever you can. We'll post this on all of our social media and the Discord as well, and as well as announce the charity stream. That should be fun to watch. This when Nixie sent me the information for this, it's it speaks to me because I was in the military, so I'm technically a veteran myself, but my I do have family and friends that have and are suffering from PTSD. So it's something that I can completely get behind and understand. So I definitely appreciate your efforts, and we will help with whatever we can.
Absolutely. And I think the big thing is that the spouses are allowed on these retreats or their caregiver.
Yeah.
Um, and I think it's important that it helps them together learn how to manage and deal with these pain and feeling,
Mm-hmm.
and that's a huge help because, that's a struggle. I mean,
It
you're
definitely
coming
is.
back from, deployment, you come home. I come from a long military line myself. I wasn't in, unfortunately, but my father used to get deployed, and my mother would be left with all us ragamuffin kids. And trust me, that wasn't an easy job because I was a terror. Um,
It's
but
definitely that affects couples together. It's not just a one person thing, and it's a struggle for relationships overall. And so, yeah, that's really cool. That's really cool.
yeah, I appreciate you giving me the time to talk about that too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank
So,
you so much for even wanting to talk about it with us. You're
yeah.
our first charity that we've talked about on the stream and or
Hmm.
podcast. And so if you guys, I think we'll put it in the description on like sites as well for the episode
Yeah.
description.
We'll go ahead and put it on
Um,
description. The link to his stream, I just put it in the chat. If you're listening to this after, we'll also include it in the descriptions, or you can find it in the Discord if you visit our Discord or our Twitter or any social media.
which is all on the link tree as well. You can find
That's correct.
links to all of these
And if you guys
places.
want to check out a little more info, I do a horrible job explaining it, but go to the warriorcreedfoundation.org and you can read up a little more about his journey and what they do there. And that's warrior without an S.
Awesome. Well, Skeeter, thank you for hanging out with us and chatting with us a little bit. Thank you for kind of letting us know what the charity's all about and what it stands for. And is there anything else? Nixie, do you have any other questions you'd like to ask?
No, but I would like to say we have a few things that are new to the community here on Out of Character.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we've got the Discord. Obviously, we've mentioned that a few times, but we now have our own Discord for Out of Character. If you're interested in chatting with other people, we're going to have things like game nights, movie nights. There's links to different servers and different games. We're
Yeah.
decently active in there already. A bunch of people already joined, which has been great. Um, and links to the podcast and everything is there as well. Which we also have a new Twitter, so if you guys like Twitter and you want to help out the stream, the podcast, feel free to go over there, follow us there, spread the word, get us out there so that we can get more people watching and we can bring much more cool things as we go along.
Yeah, we're super excited about the Discord, and so far, there's a lot of other people that have been very excited about it as well, because we've talked about the fact that a lot of servers and server owners or server admins kind of stick to their own thing, but it's fun for us to be kind of a hub for the role-playing community as a whole. And I think that that's overall going to be very exciting for us to be able to spread the love all around different servers, different games, and so
I mean, we've
far,
got links to Conan, Ark,
yeah,
GTA 5, Red Dead Redemption 2, Atlas. I think there's even a. Is there Project Zomboid? I can't remember
there is a
the
Project Zomboid.
others
Yep.
are. Yeah.
Well, I think you guys did something that all of us have talked about for a long time, and
Hmm.
actually, you guys actually got up and did it. But this is what the RP community's been missing: is a one-stop place where you're not loyal to any, server or anything, where you can go, for dev questions, just finding a new city, finding likewise RP people, like just a community hub. I mean, we
Right.
do not have that. So,
Especially with this community that like me and M9 are specifically kind of been a part of for a long time. And we plan to try and expand out to things that we've never talked about before. Tabletop games we'd like to talk about. But stuff like that, we're continuing to add as we go. We're gonna have tips and tricks for role play for different games because it's all kind of different as you go through those games. It's just gonna keep expanding, so keep an eye out on the Discord. Lots of things happen there.
Yeah, and also on that note, you will be taking suggestions for topics or guests. If you know somebody that will be good on the show, on the Discord, you can give us all sorts of suggestions. Even if you want your server hosted on our directory, let us know, and we'll add that on there. But we have
We have a
also,
ticket system where you can DM me as well.
yeah, you can DM any one of us or just send us or open up a ticket. We have one announcement. As of next week, we're going to be moving to Wednesdays.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, so just letting you know, we're going to be streaming live on Wednesday. You might be able to just catch the episode on podcast platforms on the weekend regardless, but we're going to be doing them live on Wednesdays instead. It's just kind of, the family trying to get together and stuff on the weekends is like,
But we have podcasts on Friday, so this way we'll be able to keep our weekends open, but
Right.
still have a live stream for the podcast as well.
But thank you guys for everything. Skeeter, where else can they find you? Do you have Twitter, any other social media you'd like to share, TikTok?
I got to be honest, I don't do any of that.
No?
They can find me at Skeeter's Moonshine, twitch.tv.
All right, cool. Well, thank you guys for hanging out. Like always, we love you all, and we will see you next time.
Bye, guys.
Bye.